ball, make them ballers pull the bank out. ATM shorty ain't gon' give enough funds. Better hit the branch, boo, in preparation. Feature dancer status, she the center of attention. Jacob jealous, the big convention boys coming with them thick stacks. Stadium players got the grip spin that. Face like a doll, body juicy, deadly when she grabbing them and out. She make music with her body, she that #1 single. She make music with her body, the ballers they spending money, money. Pop that, pushing that, making that a sing. Money, pop that, pushing that, making that a sing. Money, pop that, pushing that, making that a sing. She make music with her body, the ballers they spending money, money. Pop that, pushing that, making that a sing. Money, pop that, pushing that, making that a sing. Money, pop that, pushing that, making that a sing. She make music with her body, the ballers they spending money, money.
Support system on the rear.
Face front, come say so.
Hey, back doors all clear.
Chain tight, can't play no.
Well fed, we eatin'.
The motto is to push for it. The ops stay too wuss for it. Like matter of fact, we creepin', now we sneaking. Enemy highs, we be seeking. Lurking through waters and bushes, oh man. Cool dodge, we deepin'. All of we die, one at a time. Those are the facts, we don't talk dice. Ready to fire, ready or not, we letting it grind. Bang, 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 bang. Wake up, we want war. Y'all know what time it is. Paint red on this ground floor. All we throw is fists. To the core we lit. Rain down abyss. Set it up like this.
Set it off like this. Set it off like. Set it off like this. Set it off like. Set it off like this. Set it off like. Set it off like this. Burn it up, burn it up.
Set it off like this. Set it off like. Set it off like this. Set it off like. Set it off like this. Set it off like. Set it off like this. Burn it up, burn it up.
Too many enemies, too many enemies. Too many enemies. Yeah, too many enemies, too many enemies. Enemies. Too many enemies, too many enemies. Yeah. 조금 밑에 모여봤자 니니 이 몸만 된. 형 이겼으니 형은 늦어 거만해. 빠질 테니 한 대 때려 시원하게. 때려봤자 넌 내 손 안 내. 살려줄게요 소 가능하다면 안 해주면 내 심장이나 상처. Yeah, what? 연구만 해서 잘 그려려면 안 해주면 바로 매부 비상형. Go riders, go riot, gasoline lighters, more fire. Ski tires, blow up dynamite, need more wires. 너의 시야에 드리고 거무하며 쭉 갈까 일어나며 그렇게 만들어 뼈화를.
Go riders, go riot, gasoline lighters, more fire. Skid tires, blow up dynamite, need more wires. 너의 샤이들이 감화하면 조용할까 일어나면 그렇게 만들어 평화를. Set it off like this, set it off like, set it off like this, set it off like, set it off like this, set it off like, set it off like this, burn it up, set it off like this, set it off like, set it off like this, set it off like, set it off like this, set it off like, set it off like this, burn it up, say no.
She make music with a body, call her Pandora, Spotify. Dude's got the lyrics to that body all memorized. Mama get that job done, in fact she overqualified. Boss lady, hot sugar, come alive. Watch her dance off, she putting a spell on whoever she dance for. Everybody wanna touch it, they can't though. Rules are hands off, still she make them grand stuff. Dollars rain down. Girlie got that fire, fire, like she camped out. Dudes popping tents like they on the campground. She makes music with a body, the ballers they spending money, running. Pop that, pushing that, making that a sing. Money, pop that, pushing that, making that a sing. Money, pop that, pushing that, making that a sing. She makes music with a body, the ballers they spending money, running. Pop that, pushing that, making that a sing. Money, pop that, pushing that, making that a sing. Money, pop that, pushing that, making that a sing. She make music with a body, the ballers they spending money, running. Bunch of sexy baddies up in here, but this one stand out. She a star, make them ballers pull the bank out. ATM shorty ain't gon' give enough funds. Better hit the branch, boo, in preparation. Feature dancer status, she the center of attention. Jacob Javis, the big convention boys coming with them thick stacks. Stadium players got the grip, spin that. Face like a doll, body juicy, deadly when she grabbing them make out. She make music with her body, she that #1 single. She make music with her body, the ballers they spending money, running. Pop that, pushing that, making that a sing. Money, pop that, pushing that, making that a sing. Money, pop that, pushing that, making that a sing. She make music with her body, the ballers they spending money, running. Pop that, pushing that, making that a sing. Money, pop that, pushing that, making that a sing. Money, pop that, pushing that, making that a sing. She make music with her body, the ballers they spending money, running.
Yeah, yeah. I'm really getting to it day and night. I'm really in the game, I live that life. Fake 'em left and then I take 'em right. I ain't going out without a fight. I put on a show under the lights. Love it when they say my name on the mic. Highlight play, make 'em wanna show it twice. Highlight play, make 'em wanna show it twice. I'm the coldest, get it done in freezing rain. When I get in my zone, I can feel it in my veins. I go tunnel vision, ain't nobody that can stop me. I'm legendary, they just want the jersey on my body. Put up the numbers, people trying to say they love me. Work out every summer, cause the winter gon' get ugly. Feel like the world against me got me going even harder. Take off like a rocket, I'ma snipe it like I'm hearted.
When I go beast, how you gonna stop it? When I see the blitz, I just call an option. I'ma take my time, never leave a pocket. Man, it's not nice, so don't even try it. When I go beast, how you gonna stop it? When I see the blitz, I just call an option. I'ma take my time, never leave a pocket. Man, it's not nice, so don't even try it.
I'm really getting to it day and night. I'm really in the game, I live that life. Fake 'em left and then I take 'em right. I ain't going out without a fight. I put on a show under the lights. Love it when they say my name on the mic. Highlight play, make 'em wanna show it twice. Highlight play, make 'em wanna show it twice.
Boy, don't lie, do or die, it's my time. 14 inches, put it all on the line. I'm a big boss, yeah, I do it out of sight. I really run this, you just running out of time. I'm pushing a rock. When I dish it, it's a dime. But it's a decline, but I'm still in my prime. All this hard work, only right that I shine. All I know is grind, put in over time. When I go beast, how you gonna stop it? When I see the blitz, I just call it option. I'ma take my time, never leave a pocket. Man, it's not nice, so don't even try it. When I go beast, how you gonna stop it? When I see the blitz, I just call it option. I'ma take my time, never leave a pocket. Man, it's not nice, so don't even try it. I'm really getting to it day and night. I'm really in the game, I live that life. Fake them left and then I take them right. I ain't going out without a fight. I put on a show under the lights. Love it when they say my name on the mic. Highlight play, make them wanna show it twice. Highlight play, make them wanna show it twice.
will be going over to the side of Psycho, former Team Ambition player from OQ number 3, now going to be facing off against them to try to make the main event.
If they could pull this one off. Doesn't have Pseudo, so the super cool bot lane Psycho Pseudo, I still loved how that sounded together. Not together this time, is joined instead by Puckus down there in the bottom lane. Not nearly as cool of a P-word name.
No, not exactly. Also going to be Nemesis 9 facing off against TA here. Former TA player from the Spring Circuit, now going to be facing off against the TA name. Not any of his former teammates over here now, but still, in name is a little bit of a grudge match there as well, as the Xin Zhao going to be locked in here for Colthrow.
Yeah, I
See
really
if
like
they want to.
drafting. Oh,
Oh, go
sorry.
ahead.
I was gonna say I really like drafting these sort of like melee carries with the Seraphine. Whenever you can have someone that will want to just be on the front line, throw the ult over the top of them, and then heal them up mid-fight, feels really, really good to play someone like Xin Zhao with Seraphine.
Yeah, and a great trundle look for Maddie here. Knows that he's up against two melees in the Xin Zhao and the Nautilus. Knows that it's a good matchup up against the Xin Zhao and can just lock that one in super comfortably here on R3. Now has the opportunity to start banning away some of these solo laners, assuming that it is the Seraphine bot. Seraphine mid, also something that is going to be on the table, although not really a traditional Nemesis 9 champion, I must say.
Yeah, my attention this matchup kind of just directly went to mid. We had DNA who's managed to pull off 4 or 5 solo kills now throughout just this tournament. Absolutely going crazy on the Orianna. So wouldn't be surprised to see that one banned away. Looks like instead they're actually opting towards Syndra, but DNA traditionally playing these kind of control mages and getting solo kills on them versus Nemesis 9 who loves the melee carries. Tons of Yasuo, Yone, Aurelia inside of his champion pool. Should have an explosive mid matchup either way, even if the champions don't necessarily seem like it.
Definitely should. The Syndra going to be the ban directed towards DNA that we've seen all day long and all of yesterday as well. They really do not want to let him get onto this champion. My fingers are still crossed for the brand. It could potentially come through. The Kennen going to be a ban directed up into the top lane towards Geiger. I'll make sure that he's not going to be on that little Yordle. And now, a final ban, AoE randoms. You know, the other pocket pick that we've seen ban against DNA a whole bunch has been the Nico. Will they want to direct that ban that way this time around to avoid having to play against that kind of off-meta pick? No, it is going to be the Corki. So here's a chance, you know, where they're going to get counterpick for one solo lane. They're going to have to blind the other. This could be a chance to take that blind pick Nico and give DNA a little bit of his secret sauce.
Yeah, this is actually a little bit interesting to me because I think that when we watched Corki get played into Seraphine, when Team Ambition picked up the Seraphine, it didn't look like necessarily a great pick because the big one would land and then Seraphine would literally heal teammates from a quarter HP back to full in seconds. So I'm not sure if I like them banning out kind of these poke champions. I like much more the Syndra ban here as someone who can stun one target and then drop the ultimate for that all-in potential and just burst someone down before Seraphine can heal them back. I think it's a lot harder to play a Corki into a Seraphine composition. So in my opinion, a little bit of an odd ban, but maybe just, again, those big ones and you combine with a little bit of poke from Ezreal, still a very potent combo.
And the blind gangplank is what actually ends up coming through for Crimson. So they are saving this last pick counterpick for DNA. They now know that he's going to be up against this Azir in the mid lane. That does likely mean that it's a locked-in Seraphine at the bottom. And they're going to take the Akshan for Geiger up against this gangplank. What is DNA going to take up against the Azir? The Lux would be a really poke-heavy mid laner, really looking to bully the Emperor Shurima in the early game. Nico would be in that same kind of wheelhouse, as would the brand. I want to see one of those. I want to see one of these kind of spicy DNA-specific picks.
Yeah, the brand, I mean, we always love to see kind of the comfort picks coming out of
Lux?
the pocket here in Game 5, but it's Lux locked in. And I know that Lux is kind of considered that poke mage, but realistically, if Lux lands the binding, she's not a poke mage. She's an all-in mage, man. She's going to drop the ult, she's going to drop the final spark, all the damage coming in quick, and going to burst down one of these targets, hopefully before Gaiar can get the heals down.
Yeah, that is what they're going to be on the lookout for here. I am really excited to see how DNA is going to be able to navigate this mid lane. He's got the matchup that he wanted. He knows that he has the opportunity to kind of punish onto this Azir. Want to see if he's going to be able to get that done on this Lexi. It's similar to the Nico in play style. It's got the kind of bind and poke sort of approach that you want to look for here, and it's got a lot of solid burst potential coming into the later game. That is kind of what you were looking for facing off against the Seraphine.
Happy to see that. And then I think the other thing that's super helpful here is going to be that Gangplank ultimate. They don't really have a formal option of engage, but having the ability to drop that ult behind the enemy team as they're retreating and hopefully use that to catch up to them. They have a lot of speed ups through the Karma. They've got some good gap closers through the Ezreal, through the ability Trundle just to also run you down throughout the pillar. So they have options here to try and lock down targets. It's just going to be difficult to actually find a full-on engage when they want it. They're going to be much more successful when AoE randoms are trying to make the push onto Team Ambition.
Yeah, for sure. Now, facing off against AoE randoms on the red side here have gotten themselves a couple of solid counter picks in the jungle and in the mid lane, and I like the scaling potential that the Gangplank brings to the table. The Akshan is something that you have to be concerned about. You know, he's one of those champions that really does do very effectively at contesting those barrels and punishing Gangplank potentially in the early game. And with a really powerful early game jungler like this Xin Zhao, that is going to be a signal that Maddie's going to really need to path creatively and make sure that he's going to be up there to defend his top laner when inevitably Colthrow ends up heading up there.
The Xin Zhao Trundle matchup is always interesting to see. Xin Zhao obviously I think has a little bit more ganking power than the Trundle, but the ability of Trundle, if you match the Xin Zhao, he drops the E to combo on in alongside the Wind Become Lightning. He's just got nothing left in the tank, and Trundle will walk in and just take that 2v2 happily. So certainly something to watch out for. Maddie is going to want to be tracking Colthrow everywhere across the map here on the Xin Zhao.
Yeah, that is absolutely what he is going to be looking for. Now, in the bottom lane, too, you know, we've seen some great performances out of Scary Jerry and Tisa. We've seen some less than great performances from them as well. But this Ezreal is really one of the champions that stands out to me from their C-Lol run, from Scary Jerry's C-Lol run in particular with Converse. This was one of the picks that really got him a lot of those Twitter highlights, going in for some big flash dive plays with the Mystic shots, canceling out some of those animations and picking himself up those advantages in lane. I want to see if he's going to be able to do some more of that stuff up against Psycho, who is, you know, on paper the former TA bot laner he's kind of replacing here for this event.
Yeah, it's not quite the same as Kurt and Cull, but an Ezreal with Cerelia's Grudge can certainly tag up some of these members on AoE randoms and try and slow them down so the rest of the team can also collapse. So that's another way for them to try and get into these team fights. Land some slows with Cerelia's Grudge Ezreal, find the binding with the Lux, and then look to combo someone down and force AoE randoms into you. Of course, AoE Randoms has so many of these teamfight ultimates that Ambition, I think, also has to watch out for. Since that ultimate, obviously very good against someone like Lux and Gangplank, can just nullify the damage from range, and then still stay healthy enough to look for the re-engage.
Yeah, definitely going to be a capability that they have there. So we are starting to get into the spectator delay. We are going to throw it to a quick break while we get loaded onto the Rift for our final game of the night and find out if AoE Randoms or Team Ambition are going to be moving into the top 16 and playing in that second phase of the tournament here. Only one team can make it. We'll find out who it's going to be in just a few more moments. Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast of the PGCQ Open Qualifiers. AOE Randoms are taking on Team Ambition here in our final game of the night to determine who will be making it to the top 16 main event and who will be going home with a 2-3 record. Team Ambition have had some fantastic games against some tough opposition so far this event and are now looking to cap that off with a 3-2 finish.
We're just playing the game of will they, won't they? Really looking forward to see the Team Ambition win here. AOE Random certainly a tough opponent to go against, and they've drafted themselves an extremely powerful team fighting squad. I was kind of wondering when we were in the draft if the alternate lane ADC would come through, and there it is. Gygar here on the Akshan, really gonna need to come up big here against My Sword Crimson in the top lane to make sure that they still have that AD threat on the map.
Yeah, Crimson has been getting drafted towards him a lot over the last couple of days, has gotten himself a lot of counter picks. This time around, he is going to be the one who is counter picked, facing off against the Akshan. We'll see how he's able to navigate this. It's going to be a nice early invade coming through from Team Ambition. AOE should be aware of this as they caught DNA on his way out on that ward.
It's a nice spot out, but we'll have to see if Cold Throw can react to this properly. I mean, if you take this red buff and just go straight to... Oh, yeah, fight though.
Yeah, Scary Jerry getting a little engaged on by Pockus. They're taking the big trades back onto him, though. Ignite will come through onto Jerry. Pockus very low, Jerry very low. Has a whole heap load of potions to chug, though. He did end up going for that longsword 3-potion start, and he's got the biscuits as well.
Yeah, certainly gonna be nice here as Psycho will be healing up Pocus as well, so maybe a little bit of a net neutral trade here in the bottom lane, but certainly level 2 advantage coming out for the Ezreal Karma.
Yeah, they do at least get themselves the control over the wave. They will be ticking over level 2 here pretty soon. Once they are able to do that, can maybe look for some more angles to get some of the poke damage out. The Ezreal Karma, such an oppressive poke-focused lane. And when you have one melee, if you're not getting the perfect engages off with those hooks, you're just going to be on the back foot at all times.
So we had Xin Zhao go with the red-blue Gromp, one of the really old jungle clears, and did get spotted on ward here in the jungle, so we might have a nice spicy early play here towards the top side, as Gangplank, not exactly in position room, but Demon Brand Arc's already on the way.
Yeah, definitely. They are coming to try to collapse on a Cold Throw. At the very least, they are going to get the 3 buff here, it looks like. Can't really contest Maddie for that one, but they're going to try. They're bringing over Nemesis 9. It is going to be Geiger with the first roam, but they're focusing down on a Cold Throw so quickly. That's going to be first blood picked up for Maddie, and now with the 3 versus 2 breaking out, Maddie is going to eventually drop. Geiger going to try to swing his way out of there, get so much distance, but what can Crimson get done? Flash over the wall from DNA. Doesn't manage to land his skills, though. Geiger is the next target. One more parlay will do it, and Crimson picks up the kill. It's a 2-for-1 in favor of Team Ambition, with them picking up first blood as well.
I think the most important thing here is those double buffs going right onto My Sword Crimson. Red buff and blue buff on Gangplank is going to be hurting in the top lane against Gygar.
Yeah, that is exactly how Crimson would like this to start out, and with the gold ending up going over to Geiger from the kill that he got in trade as well. Definitely something that he's got to be worried about. That's going to be another hook landed on to Nemesis 9. Great snare there, and that's another kill for DNA. This man is unstoppable in the one-on-one today.
So incredibly crazy, and hey, I'm shouting out Maddie's pillar. That helped. That helped, okay? A little bit of a slow coming through. I think actually technically does 1 damage as well to give Trundle turret aggro. So there it is. Trundle coming in to at least get the boop there onto the Azir.
A fantastic start for the Team Ambition top side here. They have wanted to get this early lead to make sure that they're going to be able to run interference and protect Crimson, and they do just that. Cold Throw trying to do something sneaky, trying to equalize the early buff trade. Really blows up in their face there as they end up losing 3 in the extended play.
It certainly hurts. I feel like when you play on the Xin Zhao against the Trundle, you kind of just are forced to concede a whole lot, especially when they're playing for jungle things like that. The early invade, really powerful here for Team Ambition. You see the impact already.
Absolutely here. Nice play by Nemesis 9 there to utilize the dash aggressively. Gives him a shield to absorb some of that Lucent Singularity damage, and does give him the opportunity to get a little bit of additional damage back onto DNA while he's at it. But DNA with full control over this lane now. He's got the item lead, he's got the level lead, and he's going to try to zone this Azir off some of the minions.
And Trundle's up here as well, so we might have another 2v2, and again, I'm going to say it. Trundle in 2v2s is not where you want to be as the Xin Zhao, so Coulter's going to be forced to disengage here. The item advantage already in favor of the Xin Zhao Trundle, of the Gangplank Trundle as well. Makes it very, very hard for them to get anything done on the top side.
Have 2 Sheens, twice as many autos. Quite a bit of fun to be had there. They get a lot of that damage out right up front. It makes it very difficult to deal with for Geiger and Colthrow, so they are going to have to disengage there. And now a nice little recall comes through for both Crimson and Maddie to get themselves a couple of swords. Their builds still stand pretty mirrored right there.
The push advantage of this Ezreal Karma has yet to be utilized, though. Dragon just now spawning here. Would like to see Maddie move down towards us and get this taken super early on, so they have the potential to start stacking dragons.
Yeah, now looking for the collapse onto DNA. Wind becomes lightning, does land. They're going to try to chase him down the rest of the way. No flash going to be available. The shield trying to keep him alive just a little bit longer. There's a flash shield from Tsum to save DNA's life, and now Scary Jerry and Maddie have arrived to the party to take it in a 4 versus 3. Psycho coming in on the other side, going to be looking for a big pickup onto DNA, but Pockus has been locked down and is dropping health fast. Colthrow going to dive into the back line, finishes off on a DNA, but now he is way too far up, and he's going to be responded to by Maddie. Psycho gets the snares up onto multiple members. Nemesis 9 just getting beaten with Maddie's club as the double kill comes through to the Team Ambition jungler, and Psycho is locked down but gets the shutdown up against Trundle. Will eventually drop to Tsum. It is all in all a 3-4-2 play, I believe, in favor of Team Ambition.
Psycho there, steady head on the shoulders to find the kill at the end of the fight. Let's see how this one shook down. Really was an amazing play from Tsum, flashing in range, says, I got you, get down, Mr. President, saves Demon Brand, who manages to heal up entirely off that plant, and is able to stay alive in this fight, just continuously throwing cooldowns, shields, damage into this fight the entire time. The 45 goes a little bit awry here as Zinzum does manage to get into the fight, but Maddie with the Sheen, man, look how much damage these autos do. Look at the health differential, and watch it disappear here against Nemesis 9. Cleans up the Azir, and then maybe just gets a little bit too aggressive here against Psycho, who was looking to finish off one more kill on the way out, and does have just enough damage there to make sure it's not all bad here for AoE randoms.
And I forgot about Pockus. It's actually a 4-for-2. Team Ambition come up huge in that play and get so much additional gold into the pockets of their bot lane, as well as into Maddie and DNA. Now, so much of an advantage for Team Ambition. They got 2k in the gold lead here before even 8 minutes into the game, and a lot of that is present on this Trundle, who has already got the counter pick and already got the scaling advantage. Now is just going to be an absolute menace if he shows up near Colthrow.
Now again, we're still kind of waiting on the dragon take here. 8 minutes in, no one's really had a chance to look at it. Maybe that was what Team Ambition was doing, holding down the fort there in the river, moving members on over to mid. But no one's really had a chance to start this one up. So finally, gonna have an opportunity here. As Maddie is actually, I lied, moving towards mid. So no one's looking at Ocean Dragon just yet.
Oh, just going to let that one sit for a little while. Ooh. Over the wall, though, DNA finds Colthrow, chunks him for about 2/3 of his HP. Nemesis now looking to respond, but Maddie is here in the wings. If this snare lands, and it does, they don't quite realize it. They do back away. Nemesis now looking to keep the play going. Geiger swinging into the action. DNA tries to flash away, is met by Geiger. Maddie now has to dive in to protect his mid laner. Will be able to do so. Geiger dropping lower and lower. Crimson is here with the barrels. Hasn't been able to finish off a kill yet, but there's multiple health bars. Super low on both sides. Dive back in from Colthrow to trade onto Crimson, but Maddie is so strong, and Maddie is making all the difference. Psycho, stuck between a rock and a hard place, will eventually work his way out there with Pockus. It's a 2-for-2 play there that keeps this game close.
Demon Brand Arc plays every single fight on a knife's edge. He's always sitting, looking to throw out at least one more spell, one more rotation just to find some damage, some more shields, and it happens again in that fight. Really critical play here coming out from this mid laner, continuously finding value no matter what the cost to his own life might be.
Oh, Pockus finds Jerry, but Tsum is here in time, and so is Maddie. This might not be what they wanted at all for the side of AoE randoms. Pockus gonna drop as Maddie picks up his 5th kill of the game. Trundle is everywhere, coming out of the woodwork, and picks himself up another member of the AoE randoms.
Spotting out the Ezreal, we're calling on that ward. It was a good look for this play, but unfortunately not enough damage to take him down. Now we have a quick replay here. We can kind of see, I want you to keep an eye on Demon Brand Arc this fight. Watch how low he gets and watch how much value he still provides to everyone on his team. So surviving against Gygar here is really big. Forcing Gygar to overextend with the flash. A nice flash back to keep Demon Arc alive there from Maddie, but then he just comes back into the fight. He's on less than 100 HP and he's still fighting here, making sure that something is getting done for the team as everyone else shows up on the collapse. A great play here from Ambition to make sure something's going to get done.
Ooh, Crimson, though, getting collapsed on in the 1 versus 2, just gets blown up by Geiger and Colthrow. Lots of gold going into this Akshan. Wasn't quite able to pick up that last kill with the comeuppance up against DNA, but has still been able to secure himself plenty of money and has a nice little lead over Crimson as a result. Is going to punish once again with another roam up from Colthrow. We talked about how randoms were going to want to play towards this top side. They continue to do so, even from a losing position.
Support's been roaming so much. We got an level 8 Ezreal to level 5 Karma. Tsum still not managing to level up that Mantra, and no depth charge available for Pocus either on these roams. Now looking for something anyways, regardless in the mid lane here. Demon Brand Arc in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, looking for the snare, not going to land it. Now the full combo comes through. Maddie arrives, creates some distance between Colthrow and DNA, but it's not going to end up being enough. Tsum is at the play, but Maddie has got a big shutdown on his head, and he does not want to end up giving that one up. Scary Jerry sees an opportunity to go aggressive up against Psycho, gets some good damage in, but the wave will be cleared nonetheless.
Trundle pillar from Maddie actually pinned him to that wall. He couldn't move at all. Those are the pillars you dream of when you play Trundle. It's really rare to get something like that, but you never want it against your own teammate. Certainly not what Ambition wanted here, and a slight blunder, but they still might be able to pick up this dragon off the back of that play.
Yeah, Scary Jerry's done a good job of keeping the push in their favor, has already got the Essence Reaver completed, and is going to help them secure this first dragon. Colthrow, though, on the other side, going to pick himself up the Rift Herald. Want to turn that into some more gold as soon as he possibly can. DNA, despite all of the plays that have been occurring around mid lane and all of the kills that he's been a part of, sitting here at 1, 2, and 6, mostly been picking up assists, and therefore is still not going to be quite done with his mythic item yet.
And not as fearsome as you might like this Lux to be. The one-shot potential is coming, but it's not quite been built up just yet. As Crimson under threat from another dive here, gonna have to ult the wave and keep his minions as far away as possible.
Yeah, he doesn't get the casters off the barrel, though, so the dive will come through. Geiger gonna juggle that turret aggro, will be able to keep his teammates safe. Now the dive coming through on the bottom side. Pockets tries to flash away, and already Psycho right behind him, gonna be way out of the way of any abilities from Team Ambition. It's just going to be a clean dive on the top side and a safe response bottom from AoE randoms. They do end up expending both of their flashes, but they do both stay alive.
The good news for AoE randoms here is that they're kind of fulfilling what they needed to do this game, right? They didn't pick the traditional AD carry. Seraphine, doing whatever she can, doesn't necessarily need these kills to carry, but they are funneling so much gold into this auction. It'll be first turret, so many plates, and 4 kills. Already has got the Kraken Slayer, and it's going to be absolutely massive throughout the rest of this game.
Yeah, 2 solo plates end up going over to Scary Jerry. He's been getting a lot of alone time in that bottom lane while Tsum's been roaming around the map. Now, a substantial deficit here for Crimson, down a little bit, around 1,500 gold, it looked like, from the gold graph there. It's a tough position to be in, but he is a powerful scaling gangplank. Just needs some alone time in the top lane, and with the outer having fallen, he should have the opportunity to do that.
The question is, what can Geigar get done on the map while these waves are getting pushed past the halfway point? Don't want to be too far out here on the auction. There is always the availability of Maddie to come up top, mess around, smack you around a little bit with the club. 5 and 2 now on the Trundle, also getting pretty large here, and will have quite the presence in these team fights.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so difficult to deal with kind of for some of the members of AoE randoms. Like, if you can get them locked down with the Azir and the Seraphine, then sure, you can pretty easily deal with the Trundle. But in a lot of these fights, he's just going to walk in, he's going to ult Xin Zhao and make it so that they have virtually no front line. And then he can just walk on through and just keep queuing people. He's going to be very tanky in his own right and tough to work through for a team comp that takes a while to get all of its damage online.
I think an undervalued part of Trundle's kit is the ability of Trundle to just play front to back super effectively. Front to back team fights, you just want to focus down whoever's hitting your front line, right? Make sure your carries are doing more damage than the enemy carries, and Trundle's ult certainly helps with that. Just chunking at the resistances, especially against his Aftershock Nautilus. If you hit it on the Aftershock proc, he gets a ton of resistances and drains excess resistances that are... It calculates through the temporary resistances of the Aftershock to drain even more than a Trundle ult normally would.
Yeah, now another engage coming through in the bottom lane. Scary Jerry chunking out onto Nemesis 9. Doesn't land too many skills, though. Will be feeling just fine as he continues to try to farm this out in the 1 versus 2 in the bottom lane. This might be a signal to dive here for Colthrow, hanging around the mid lane. Psycho gets shrunk to half HP by DNA, but he's got to watch out for Pockus on the Nautilus. Flashes away to get under the turret, but here's the full combo from AoE Randoms, and DNA is going to drop in the mid lane.
Yeah, everyone shows up to that team fight. Forced to burn a flash here on the Zinzo. Would have liked to hold on to that, and Demon Brand Arc does everything they can to hold on to cooldowns, or force out some cooldowns, rather. Burns their own flash underneath the turret, but is unable to pick up a counter kill here. Nice play here from AoE Randoms.
Definitely a good one for them there. Now, what can TA do to try to get their way back into this? They are now down 1k gold from the 2k gold lead that they once had. Got a lot of gold funneled into Scary Jerry. He's at a little bit around a 600 gold lead over Psycho, but all of this money that's been funneled into the auction, that's what they really have to be worried about. Maddie looking to make a play in the bottom lane, but Nemesis 9, he's just too mobile. He'll be able to get out.
Looks like Team Ambition trying to set up for this next dragon on the map. See what they can do here is it's full recalls coming out from the side of AoE Randoms. They're teleporting Seraphine to mid to try and hold some prio here. So it looks like they also want to try and play for this one. We're going to have a big team fight coming up here that could very well just decide the fate of this game.
Yeah, Geiger going rogue has been invisible for quite a while, so we're going to have to assume for the side of TA that he's going to be around there. Crimson does not have access to the teleport. He has opted for the Ignite. He doesn't have the Cannon Barrage either, so he's going to have to take a long walk towards the dragon if he wants to be participating in this fight. He's going to do just that.
Out Psycho a little bit here, but Ezreal does not hurt much when you got the Seraphine shields on your side, and they're going to need a lot more than poke. They have to burst down a target or else AoE Randoms will just sustain right on through it. Do now spot out Geiger stealthing away here on the auction as they send their own teleport back. That's Scary Jerry coming into the fight, making sure they have their own 5-man squad here ready to compete. We got the NA Ram going on here. Put on the circus music. Dragon has spawned, and neither team can really move to it.
Yeah, the poke damage, though, is pretty strong from Team Ambition, but Maddie's going to be the one who gets engaged on. That's a big encore onto 3 targets and a scoop back in onto Crimson and DNA. DNA going to be the first one to fall down, and now a kite backwards coming through from Team Ambition. Pockus goes a little bit too far up. Let's see what Scary Jerry can get done. He blinks in, but has to flash back out right away. Wind becomes lightning, lands onto the Ezreal, but Maddie can flash forward and execute down on a Nemesis 9. It's a 1-for-1 mid laner for a mid laner so far in this team fight, but Scary Jerry and Tsum are so incredibly low, and there's plenty of sustain to be had from Psycho's Seraphine. It looks like the AoE Randoms are going to have control over this dragon, but that's a big true shot barrage from Scary Jerry, but Geiger's on top of him in an instant and goes on a rampage as he finishes off the opposing AD carry. Maddie now has to run for the hills, but is getting chased down by 4 members of AoE Randoms. They're going to win this fight. They're going to pick up onto Tsum as well. Geiger is all over Team Ambition, and 13-11 on the scoreboard. AoE Randoms wins another team fight.
We're talking about Maddie being everywhere. Geiger here on the auction, I believe, just covered about half the map's distance within that fight on itself. Reset on reset, but maybe have a pick here onto Colthrow. See if he can get out of this situation.
Great use of the Crescent Guard there to defend up against that final spark. Now going to give the opportunity to turn around up against Crimson. They want to be able to pick up on the Pockets, but they can't even do that. And these fights are just going all wrong for Team Ambition. They are going to lose Crimson there, and they are now down about 3k gold.
Whole lot coming up in favor of AoE Randoms here. They lost their gold advantage. They lost the next dragon. So Soul Snowball's no longer on the table. Really kind of looking for what will Team Ambition's next pick off be. They are losing the team fights where, you kind of expect them to be able to kite back away from. Psycho landing really good ults over the top of Pockus's engagements are keeping him nice and healthy and preventing them from being able to play this front to back as they just all eat the charm.
Very tough start for them there. They end up losing Maddie early on in the fight. They end up losing DNA incredibly early in the fight as well, so they lose out on some of the supportive aspects that Lux was going to bring to the table. And Scary Jerry plays it so aggressively. He shifts in, has to flash back out right away, and loses so much health for the trouble that he just can't be a force that they need later on in the team fight.
And they did manage to pick up that kill later on, right? But that's ADC burning flash to pick off Azir, and they didn't even get the kill. Scary J throwing, I think, one of the arcane, or not, throwing one of the Qs just a little bit wide of Nem9 there in that fight, which forced Maddie to also burn flash. So they went down 2 flashes, they went down a whole lot of health, and it was just not comebackable for them.
Definitely not. We'll see what they're able to do in future team fights. They still have the scaling Gangplank, they still have the scaling Ezreal, but for now, they are on the back foot. plenty more gold and objectives going over to the side of AoE randoms. They get themselves the dragon, they get themselves some turrets, and they are looking to secure this red buff. Team Ambition, they don't want to give it up. They're calling over the members. Here comes Maddie, looking for the chomps, looking for the slows. Here comes DNA. He gets the binding onto 2, but the blast cone denies the engage opportunity. And here comes Nemesis 9 over the wall on top of DNA. That's going to be a big encore, but it's a 1-for-1 so far. Once again, mid laner for mid laner. Crimson is on the back foot. He's going to end up dropping. That's going to be a big res onto Nemesis 9 coming through for Geiger. They have to back away right now. They've lost this fight 2-for-0. 2-for-1 if you count Nemesis dropping and getting rezzed. This is going to be a Baron for AoE randoms.
It's always a nice thing about the Akshan passive, the ability to res those members back into the fight, and AoE randoms just goes straight to this Baron. You have Nemesis 9 already pathing back. Paucus on the Nautilus, looking for a way to pick off potentially this Ezreal. Scary Jay in a lot of trouble.
Spotted the whole way through. He's gonna get picked. Paucus picks up that kill, and now the Baron, the next target here. Maddie does not want to give this one up. Tsum is coming to group up with him as well. A teleport in from DNA. Maddie fighting it out with this Nautilus. There's going to be the cannon barrage. The Baron is starting to regen its HP as they've ceased doing damage to it. It's at 2k. Maddie doesn't have the flash. He has no way of getting over. They will be able to burn this one down, but look at the Lux ultimate. Not quite gonna be enough. Cold Throw smites it down and secures Baron for the AoE randoms.
Critical smite for Cold Throw. It is so hard to outsmite a Lux. Really good play to make sure they can burst that one down. I like that they were holding the Baron's HP around 2k HP and then trying to utilize other members of AoE randoms to push away the Lux. We're able to get that part done, but they secured the smite anyways, and this is massive for AoE randoms. They can now utilize this and try and push down some more turrets before this next dragon spawns.
The lead is just getting bigger and bigger for AoE here. They have found themselves so many opportunities to win out these fights. They are now going to be in the driver's seat fully for this upcoming dragon. 45 seconds on Windrake #1. You got to believe Team Ambition have got to chill out, take some time to scale, and give up some of these objectives.
9 getting chunked out just a little bit once again. The rest of Team Ambition's roster is holding out in mid. I think they're going to be forced to give up this next dragon. They're going to be really hard to play for, and they'd be happy to just stall out some more time on this Baron buff and prevent AoE randoms from just taking more turrets on the map.
Definitely is a big risk to end up giving up those inner turrets. They carry so much gold with them. Geiger going to be so effective in the split push as well. 7-1 on this Akshan. So dangerous in the team fights. They have to try to find an angle onto him, but so far he's been way too slippery.
It's been a big point of this these fights that have been breaking out across the map. So far, it's not really a AoE random's ability to fight out the team fights front to back. They're actually just finding really good flank ankles. I've seen 2 amazing Shurima shuffles come out from Nemesis in these fights, just splitting up the team of Ambition and preventing them from being able to have that very standard team fight that they want to try and throw out against AoE random's team comp.
Absolutely true. The Shurima shuffles have been huge for Nemesis 9, and in the later game, those become a little bit more dangerous to try to go for when you're at risk of getting very quickly melted by somebody like Maddie and Scary Jerry, but so far has been executing them perfectly, even at the trade of his own life, to make sure that the team would be able to win out on these team fights. We'll see if that strategy can continue to be effective into the later game, as they are looking to keep the pressure on mid here, throwing down the Azir turret at the mid inner.
Yeah, the Azir turrets are so frustrating to play around whenever you're trying to defend against a siege. Your mini wave can't get pushed out. They can just still stay up in your face and continue to look for poke here. And they're doing just that as Pocus throws out another hook, just going barely wide there on Team Brand Arc.
They're trying to find themselves a way on the Geiger, but once again, it's just got too much mobility. Paucus jumps a little bit farther up, has thrown out the depth charge onto DNA, forced out the flash, but otherwise wasn't able to claim too much. The poke damage is coming through for Team Ambition. They want to land some of these light bindings. They want to get the poke damage on across, but Psycho doing a good job of nullifying it thus far.
Yeah, he's holding onto the final spark. He wants the damage to land. They want to just blow up one target and try and use that to win a team fight, but with the disengage coming out from AoE randoms, just going to ult the wave, stall out the rest of this Baron, and going to be the reset here for Team Ambition as they try and buy some more items, try and find that key fight that they think they can win here against AoE randoms.
Yeah, and it's going to have to start with picking one of these squishier targets off. Luckily, they've got a solid suite of options to choose from. If you can get the Akshan, that's great, but getting on to somebody like Nemesis or Psycho would be super effective as well. They need to find a way to do it. There's going to be Cannon Barrage. They want to try to lock down on Apocus and Nemesis 9. It looks like they're just a little bit too quick. They got a little bit too many mobility options. They can just keep going for the shifting sands. They can keep going for those dredge lines into the walls, and nobody can quite collapse.
Whoa.
Although there's Scary Jerry in on a Nemesis. One more Mystic shot would do it, but he can't land it. But Nemesis escapes with his flash and with his life.
It has to burn the flash there, which is potentially going to allow Nemesis to be a little, or prevent Nemesis from being super aggressive like he has been. Eventually he's been able to jump into these fights, find these trimmer shuffles, and get out. Having flash down for the next fight means he can't either extend extra far to get the shuffle back on in, or escape after he commits all the cooldowns to a shuffle. So there's certainly a little more of a risk here for Nemesis, but still has a whole lot of, like everyone else on the team having flash, can look to try and protect Nemesis, or just dive right on in with him.
And with the Shadow Flame now completed for DNA, it's got a little bit more damage available for himself. Can also see Cyrilda's Grudge is being worked on by Scary Jerry. Will give them the slow off the Ezreal damage, which can help set up for these Lux combos later on. These are all going to be critical if they want to actually be able to lock down a specific target and burst them out.
You can kind of see it in the build of Team Ambition right now. No one's actually itemizing for healing reduction. They're not expecting to try and stop Seraphine from healing up this team. They just want to kill a target. They just want to get one guy. Geiger to be an awesome target for them to lock down. Maybe the 80 damage threat, the consistent damage out of the team fight, and then they'll have to worry about Nemesis at that point. But we'll see if they can find this pick. It's so critical for them to try and just land one of these bindings and blow up a target.
Yep, they throw out some of the poke damage there, trying to lock up Pacus. They don't end up landing onto him. So the siege will continue. The 1-3-1, and very effective for AoE randoms so far in this game. They're keeping Nemesis safe in the top lane. Geiger's untouchable in the bottom lane. And this core of 3 cannot be moved from mid.
Geiger is just sitting here in stealth, actually, so not even looking to make the push happen, but hoping to goad someone into this lane to deal with this wave, and then just trying to blow them up with the Akshan combo. And with the 3 items he's got to his name now, so much damage on this top laner.
Scary Jerry, 3rd item now complete. Really a big poke threat in his own right, and willing to play these fights incredibly aggressively. AoE randoms showing him some respect as he pushes back the members in the mid wave. Now, side lanes, though, just continue to crash. Team Ambition continue to not have a great answer. The Baron has been started up by the randoms once again. They are going to see that this is going down with their blue trinket, but can they find an opportunity to actually stop it from going down?
Pacus is in his little spot here. Gonna get spotted out by that pink ward?
There's going to be Pacus getting the lockdown there onto Tsum. It has the Aftershock for a little bit of additional tankiness, but they have been forced back. Geiger gets good damage onto Scary Jerry, but he can create the distance. And the Baron has been stopped for the time being. A successful halt of the progress for Team Ambition. That's going to be a recall interrupt on an Nemesis 9. Chunks him pretty low. He's going to shuffle his way away. Does have the teleport to return to the fight for this dragon once it does break out, but there's a couple of seconds where you know there's no Azir.
Could try and look for the hard commit. They just don't really have a way to get into this fight immediately. Unless that binding would have landed, but here it comes.
There's going to be the hook onto Crimson. Here comes the Encore. Only lands on a 1 target, though. Crimson going to be able to flash away, and they've melted through Pacus first and foremost. Maddie's going to drop, and they can't work their way through Call Throw, and that's the sign for Team Ambition to back away. Tsum has to flash to avoid the comeuppance damage. That's going to be the lockdown, though, on a Geiger. Shut down for DNA. It's a 2-for-1 team fight. AoE randoms still in control of the map, are likely going to be able to get the dragon, but they did lose Geiger and give that shutdown gold to DNA.
Geiger wanted to go aggressive there, had the flash in the pocket, but the binding just lands from Demon Brand Arc and prevents him from being able to be slippery. Needed to flash that binding. It would have maybe had a chance for the pop-off fight right after that, but Demon Brand Arc sees it coming, goes for the aggressive play, and gets a 1,000 gold shutdown for it. Now looking a little bit more dangerous here on the Lux.
Zonia's completed, so we'll have a little bit more defense up against getting caught out by somebody like Geiger, or up against the chain ultimates like that Encore. Encore gets basically nothing done in that last fight. His Team Ambition are looking to start up the Baron. Teleport coming through from Psycho, though. AoE randoms, they sense that something is up, and they are going to try to arrive to this fight, but the Baron is melting down incredibly quickly. Below 3k HP now. They will be able to secure it, and the objective bounty that comes with it. Maddie flashes over the wall, and Team Ambition are out. They've escaped with murder, and they've gotten themselves the Baron buff.
That's important. Shoring up the gold lead and also just denying this Baron from AoE randoms is massive. That's 5 more minutes on the clock. or sorry, 6 more minutes on the clock now for Team Ambition. They can stall out these waves a little bit longer. It just prevents AoE Rams from really being able to push this advantage that they have, as now without the Baron buff, sieging is so much more dangerous into this Lux.
These last couple of minutes, you can see TA regaining a little bit of confidence here. They've picked off Geiger, they've gotten a lot of gold into DNA, and they've made an aggressive and successful Baron call. Now with a little bit of momentum back in their favor, what can they get done off the back of the big purple worm? There's no dragon available, but can they siege on some of these outer turrets and claim some of these big objective bounties that have been created for themselves? It looks like they're going to start with the mid lane and should be able to get this one.
This is a good one to get. Picking off the mid lane turret will allow them to hopefully secure a little bit more vision around this map, as you've seen the flank angles come in from Nemesis line. They've just been so massive this game. So we'll see if having that mid lane turret down helps out their vision a little bit. Pocus though just gets deleted.
He just gets one shot there. They see him clearing out the ward. They land the binding, and Scary Jerry, willing to pull the trigger, demolishes the AoE random support, and now they've got a 5 versus 4 push with the Baron buff. They claim themselves another objective bounty on the mid inner turret, and they are knocking on the doors of the base. There's waves in top, there's waves in bottom, but currently they don't have to care. They see all 4 members of AoE right in front of them, and they do not feel the need to stop for 10 more seconds. Pocus still in the death chamber, will be coming back pretty soon. Can they secure this turret in time? Looking like the answer is pretty close to yes. It's fallen lower and lower. The Avengerang comes through, but it's not going to be able to stop the wave. 2 more objective bounties for the side of Team Ambition. Now just need to escape with their lives, and they are well on course to do so.
We got a game on our hands, man. It wasn't looking good there for Team Ambition, but signs of life erupt here in the mid lane. 3 turrets taken, objective bounties, bringing this gold lead up to a 2k from 7k, I believe. Baron power play indeed here for Team Ambition as they get back onto the map. They're going to try and defend this mid lane turret against the siege of Nemesis.
And Scary Jerry just finished Eclipse. That's going to be not only the Eclipse stats, but 3 items worth of Mythic passive. So many additional stats were just gained by this Ezreal. He is fully online and ready to take some team fights.
Still have to deal with the split push threats though. Akshan still massive here in the top lane. Has now finished Rageblade actually. Geiger really opting for this team fight. Even though he is a strong split push threat, he's going to have so much AD damage across the board whenever these teams are clashing.
Certainly will. It's a neck and neck game now. Just 2k gold separating these 2 teams. Could really end up swinging in either direction here. 1:30 to go on the next Dragon, 3 minutes to go on the next Baron. These are where these fights are going to be staged. Once again, Team Ambition are moving towards the top side. They want to catch Geiger up too far, but he knows his limits, and he's backing away.
Win Soul here for this game. AoE randoms would like to have it. I think on Akshan is probably the biggest one. Being able to ult and then quickly reposition yourself to make sure you can try and land some of those critical shots to execute a target would be pretty nice. Zinzao also benefits quite a bit from it, being able to help with disengage. You just ult away whoever's on top of you and then just run because you get the extra movement speed. I think on the other targets it matters quite a bit less, but still, it would be nice to pick out this soul for AoE randoms, and Team Ambition, I think, has the ability and the will to try and contest this soul.
They definitely do. 40 seconds to go. They will not want to give that one up to the randoms. Now, catching the wave on the bottom side is DNA. Maddie face checks with DNA still in the bottom lane. He's likely going to get bursted out here. Here comes the Encore. It lands on a Crimson. He's going to be able to flash away. Nemesis goes for the ulti combo, but it gets flashed away from. Scary Jerry's avoided it, and it's a one-shot onto Nemesis. Trade 1-for-1 as Crimson is dropped on the other side. Tsum blocking out the comeuppance for Maddie to make sure that their jungler will be here in time, but can he get the recall off, or does he even have time? He's just going to have to stay here and rely on DNA, Tsum, and Scary Jerry to emulate some sort of front line if they want to contest the soul, but they just can't do it. They just have to push through mid lane.
They're going for the inside tract here, and it could work with this Lux. She could just throw spells through the choke and make it impossible for them to walk in. But still a little bit of a risk here. The chase onto the Pocus, though.
They really want to get onto Pocus here. They think that they have the opportunity. He goes in for the hook. Here's going to be the chain CC coming through out of DNA. He just gets one shot, and that's a res through for Nemesis 9, who has access to the teleport. It's a disaster for Team Ambition. AoE randoms find themselves the ace in their own red side jungle.
So incredibly aggressive there. They just wanted to pick off one more target, but just couldn't get it done. I think they were making the assumption that the rest of the team was recalling, but with the shove in mid, they stop the recalls, they run for the fight instead, and they take it.
And 30 seconds to go. Crimson caught out. Comeuppance coming from mid lane. That might be all she wrote for the Proving Grounds qualifier here from Team Ambition. AoE randoms. They lost control for a couple minutes there, but they fight their way back. They find an ace, and they are going to qualify for the Proving Grounds circuit qualifier. They are in that top 16. Team Ambition end at 2-3.
Another close finish here for Team Ambition. AoE randoms too strong on the day. Amazing team fight capabilities being shown here. Nemesis 9 really showing their stuff here on champion that we can still massive plays on the Western.
They had so many good close games there. So many chances up against teams like Team Pending, teams like Cincinnati Fear. They took these teams to their limit, ended up dropping, and then right here up against AoE randoms on the verge of another big comeback, cannot make it happen. It is going to be the randoms moving on to that top 16.
Congratulations, another one of the AoE squads. Let's see how many ended up managing to make the qualification here. But Team Ambition Team Ambition Sussy and Team Ambition here, unfortunately not being able to qualify on the day.
No, not going to be able to find it this time around, but a great performance from the squad. Some really banger games in there. Not going to end up picking that one up. But congratulations to the AoE randoms, and congratulations to all of our teams who are going to be making it into this Proving Grounds qualifier.
We'll be keeping an eye on you. So many good teams we saw today. I loved Cincinnati Fear game. I love these looks from Team Ambition. Looked strong, but in the end, gotta get those 3 wins on in, and some incredibly close matches that will unfortunately be only seen as that 0-1 as that 0-1 loss for Team Ambition. But I think all these players can still be proud of what they showed today.
Absolutely here, and excited to come back in 2023 once Proving Grounds is up and running again. But for now, that is going to do it here on the TA stream. Thank you all for tuning in to check out the squad, and for tuning in to TA2 to check out TA Sussy as well. That's going to do it for the stream tonight. Thank you all for tuning in once again, and from myself, Sulpan, and Emma on production, have a great night.